If you struggle with addition and subtraction, this video will help make it very simple. Our first concept is going to be addition. Now we have to ask ourselves, what is addition? Addition means putting together the numbers to find the total. For example, we can take a look at the numbers 25 and 13. If we recall our knowledge about place value, we know that the 2 and the 1 represent the tens, and the 5 and the 3 represent the ones. We can use this to break down the math and add the ones first, so we get 5 plus 3, which equals 8, and then add the tens. 20 plus 10 equals 30. So now we can rewrite this as 30 plus 8, which will give us 38. The key idea for doing addition like this is simply adding the ones first, adding the tens, and combining the answers. A tip for this is to line up the numbers carefully, having the tens together like this, and having the ones together like this, so it's nice and clear visually. We'll do a quick check of your knowledge. I want you guys to solve it first, and then I'll just show my working out afterwards. So, what is 34 plus 12? So, to start the working out for this, we'll simply put the tens together, like in our previous example. So we'll have 30 and 10. And then we'll put the ones together, 4 and 2. And when we add these together, we'll have 40 and 6. And now when we add these two values together, we'll get 46. Using this example, give the next question a shot. So, like the previous question, we'll group together the tens, 20 and 10, looking at the first number of each of these two-digit numbers, and then we'll take the ones and add them together. So 3 and 9. So this will give us 30. And now this will turn into a two-digit number because 9 plus 3 is equal to 12. So now we add the tens and the ones again if we wanted to break this down into another step. So this will look like 30 plus 10, and in the ones position we'll have 0 and 2. Which will now give us 40 and 2, which we can now add together to get 42. We didn't necessarily have to do this second step in this question, however I wanted to demonstrate the concept of adding the tens and the ones again, since this answer did result in another two-digit number. Now let's check our understanding for what we've just done. We'll look at the numbers 42 and 31. So here again, we're going to break it down, and I've done it by color, into the ones, the 2, and the 1. And then for the tens value, the 40 and the 30. So we've now got 3 and 70. So when we add these two whole numbers together, our answer is 73. Now let's have a look at another example. 56 plus 22. So we're going to break this down. We have the ones, which is going to be 6 and 2, and this will give us 8. And the tens, we have 5 for the first one, so 50. And the second one will be a 2, so 20. And this will give us 70. Now when we add these two together, we'll have our answer as 78. Next example, same concept again with different numbers. So in the ones we'll have a 3 and a 5, and this will give us 8. So now the tens, we'll have 7, which gives us 70, and a 1, which gives us 10. And this gives us 80. So now from this, we have our answer is 88. Now slightly harder, we'll have a look at the numbers 48 and 27. So we're going to add the ones together to get 8 and 7. Now this will give us 15. And 4, which will give us 40 for the tens. And 2, which will give us 20 for the tens. So our answer here will be 60. We could use the method we previously used before to turn this into another tens and ones question, but if we do the calculation for this, we'll end up with 75. Now that covers addition. Next, on to subtraction. What is subtraction? Subtraction means taking away from a number to find what is left. It is actually the opposite of addition, and we'll find out why later. An example, we'll take a look at the numbers 25 and 13. So first, we will take away the ones. The first is going to be the 5, and the second is going to be the 3, which will give us 5 minus 3, which will be equal to 2. Next, we're going to take away the tens. So we're going to have 20 from the first number, and 10 from the second number. And when we take these away, we'll be left with 10. So our final answer will be 10 plus 2, which is equal to 12. Key idea for subtracting is we subtract the ones first, then subtract the tens, and combine the answers. And a very good way to check your answer is always by adding the answer back, is if we have 25 minus 13 equals 12. That means if we do 13 plus 25 plus 12, we'll also get 25. So addition and subtraction go hand in hand, and that's also a really nice way to check your answer if you're unsure. So, just a quick check of our knowledge. What is 34 minus 12? I'll give you guys a sec just to figure this one out. Alright, so we'll line up the tens together, so we'll have 30 and 10, and subtracting these will give us 20, and then we'll have our ones, 4 and 2. Subtracting these will give us 2, and when we add these two together, we'll end up with 22. So that's the answer to our first example. Now on to the second example. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds again. So, using the same idea, we'll line up the tens together. So 20 and 10, which will give us 10. And we'll line up the ones, 9 and 5, which will give us 4. And when we add these together, our end value will be 14. Great. So, for our first example, 52 minus 21. 2 minus 1 equals 1. 50 minus 20 equals 30, as we take our ones position and our tens position. So we'll have a look at these two numbers, 67 and 25. First we'll separate the ones from the tens, so we will have 7 and 5, and this will equal 2. And then we have the tens, 60 and 20, which will give us 40. So when we add these two together, we get our final answer is 42. Let's have a look at another example. We'll take the 1's together again, so 4 and 2, which will give us 2, and then the 10's, 80 and 30, which gets us 50. So adding these two together, we'll get 52. Now for a slightly harder example, we'll have a look at the numbers 90 and 45. So for the 1's, as we recall from our place value, even though it's a 0, we'll still have a value. So we'll treat this as 0 minus 5. And if we take something away from 0, we'll end up with a negative. So we'll think of this as minus 5. We'll think of this subtraction as a minus sign. And then now we'll have the 10's, which will be 90 and 40. So this will now give us 50. So now when we add these two together, we don't want to think of it as 50 plus 5. When we're adding a negative value and a positive value together, we have to consider the equation like this. 50 and adding a negative 5. When we add a negative number, we can pretend like we're just subtracting. So this will end up being a subtraction again. So it will become 50 minus 5 equals 45. So that will be our final answer here. I've added more practice questions in my worksheet. You can find a link in the description below.